cause number 1396031, styled State of Texas versus Veronica Dunnachie. Is that you, ma'am? And we're here today for sentencing on the agreed plea bargain in this case. What says the state?
State's ready.
What says the defense?
Defense is ready, Your Honor.
Are you the same Veronica Dunnachie who appeared in this court on February 5th, 2016 and pled guilty to the offense of capital murder of multiple persons? Based on your plea of guilty and the judicial confession in this admonishment document, I'm going to find you guilty of the offense of capital murder of multiple persons and set your sentence in this case and life in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice without possibility of parole. It is the order, judgment, and decree of this court that you be remanded by the Sheriff of Tarrant County to the Director of the Institutional Division to serve your sentence as required by law. You have no right of appeal in this case because I followed the plea bargain. And you will be given credit for the time that you've served, of course, without possibility of parole. That doesn't really matter. And has the defense had an opportunity to review the victim impact statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or the 3 victim impact statements that I have in the packet?
Yes, Your
Do
Honor.
you have any objection to these victim impact statements?
No, Your Honor.
Then I will send them on to the parole board in the institutional division. Anything further from either side?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing from the bench, Your Honor.
Okay. That concludes this proceeding, and let's get off the record. I believe that there's an allocution in this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Dunnachie, if you would turn to the person who is speaking.
Good morning, Your Honor. There are no words to describe what Veronica took from us that day. She took a son, an only cherished son, a son who honored, respected, and loved his parents. She took a little bro and a big brother. She took a loving, protective, devoted, and unselfish father, a father who loved his kids with a passion. She took a loving husband who was committed with all his heart to helping her deal with the painful realities of this life that wound our souls. He was committed. He was a soldier who understood and lived a life of honor, integrity, and dependability. He stood on that wall more times than I think any of us will ever know. It was just the right thing to do. So he stood there on that wall all throughout his life, long before and long after his military career. We have lost a dear friend, a brother who would have done anything for us, a little bro and a big brother who was a bright light even on the darkest days. Whether it be a text or a phone call, his light shone through. His optimism, encouragement, sense of honor, and love of the Lord was a beacon in this mixed up, frustrating, sometimes overwhelming world. He always knew how to make you smile. We've lost an example of what it is to live a life sold out in commitment to those he loved. He was a family man, and he gave that term a good name. He was such an example and encouragement to me of being a parent. He was loyal. He loved his family and friends with a loyalty that our hearts longed for. His humility made him a man capable of giving grace and forgiveness to others, something we all desperately need. Veronica took from herself a heart that cared so tenderly for her. He shed many tears in prayer for her healing, for her well-being, for her happiness. He was a kind and good manager who cared greatly about those he worked with. He'd tell me of a person, no names of course, about whom he was concerned and wanting to help or encourage. He was that driver on the road who would actually stop for the person with a broken down car. My sisters and I have lost an uncle for our children, not just any uncle, but the awesome uncle who always knows how to make you smile, surprise you with a little something, or make you laugh uproariously. As for Russ's children, how do we even begin to mark what they have lost? The phone calls seeking Dad's wise counsel are gone forever. The "Hey Dad, have you got a minute" is never again a possibility for them. That proud look or twinkle in his eye at them when they've been amazing, those can't ever happen again. He is no longer here to walk his daughters down the aisle or approve of the women his sons want to marry. His arms will never hold their newborn children. He can no longer hug and kiss and tickle his grandchildren until they squeal with glee. He is no longer here to tuck his little ones in at night or carry them on his shoulders to the park. He is not here to help his teenage son cross over into manhood. Nor will he be with the 2 younger boys. when the two younger boys come to that place in life. Those protective, comforting daddy arms to hold them when they are hurting are gone. If you ask me, we've lost a hero. The murder of Russ and Kimberly Dunnachie has wounded us deeply, striking to the depths of our souls. This past year obviously has been unlike any other and took us all by storm. One of Russ's sons put it very well. He said, as of December 10th, 2014, my entire life changed. My heart was broken and a hardship crossed my path. I had lost a father, a mother, a sister, best friend, and 3 amazing little siblings. This crime has hurt our family physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, and spiritually. We will never be the same. How has it impacted us? How has it not? We will see him again one day, we know that. But there is so much anger and grief about the years that have been stolen from us. The contentment of walking through life together, doing life together, has been snatched away. And then there is the senseless absurdity of such an act of violence, the traumatic shock that smacks you in the face from out of nowhere. For many of us, sleep does not come easily anymore. Numerous children have been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, waking at night shaking or fighting from horrific dreams. There has been a heaviness of heart. We've been exhausted daily, and it is a battle not to be regularly irritable with our husbands and children, or for the children to be regularly angered with siblings and parents. These kids have lost a father, a mother, an older sister, a best friend, siblings, an uncle, and cousin. These are children we are talking about here. They have struggled in school with grades because they can't sleep and can't concentrate. They have struggled with friends. How do you discuss this in reality with friends when you're a kid? How do you say, my mom murdered my dad and sister, and my aunt murdered my uncle and cousin? To lose a family member is hard enough, but to have it be murdered, and by a family member, what do you do with that? They need their friends, but their friends aren't equipped to handle this, so they can't talk about it with them. And they end up feeling scared, awkward, depressed, misunderstood, alone, and isolated. We adults have wrestled this year to wrap our minds around what has happened while attempting to support each other and help our children navigate completely uncharted waters. My sister stated that this crime lives on in perpetuity, affecting our family's lives for generations to come. She is right. None of us will ever be the same again. Niece, 13, had to leave class in tears during a Civil War documentary because it reminded her too much of what happened to Uncle Russell and Kimberly. Nephew, 12, struggles with anxiety. He has a warrior's heart just as his uncle did. He didn't see this coming and he couldn't help or protect them. Niece, 12, struggled and battled to hold on to her faith. It's not fair. I can't feel God holding me anymore. Why did Veronica take that away? Will it ever come back? You need it to come back. Exactly how do you answer that? Our garden fairy has spent the last year trying to find her smile again. Innocence has been ripped away and her joy has been replaced by a brutal reality. Nephew, 9, still cries at night from missing Uncle Russell. Son, 8, wanting to call his daddy on the phone. Answer that. Niece, 9. How many bullets does it take to kill a person? 1. So like in the head or the heart? Dumbfounded and nauseous, I replied, yes, Peanut. Really, am I having this conversation with my sweet little innocent 9-year-old? Mommy, what if I can't forgive her? Do I have to forgive her? Not a short conversation. Niece, 14, stood at the viewing, shaking her head with tears streaming down her face. Now 15 years old, she struggles to swallow this absolute absurdity. She has been so angry. She has laid awake countless nights worrying about her cousins. She is chased after laughter and joy as if they were phantoms. And she feels guilty because she has not yet been able to forgive Veronica. My mother said, not a day goes by that I don't feel the enormous hole in my heart, and I wish so desperately that it could have happened to me instead of him. Being here today was just more than her heart could bear. I know without question this event has gashed the hearts of my sisters and I beyond words. There are family members who have found it almost impossible to trust anyone anymore. Anxiety and fear have become frequent companions. You feel like you're on high alert, getting up multiple times at night to make sure all the doors are locked. One sister didn't even want her middle school daughter to walk 1 block to or from the bus stop in a very safe, quiet neighborhood. Needless to say, there's been much counseling and many tearful nights for all of us, some of them sleepless. Something like this was nowhere on our radar screens, and it has rocked us to the core. Our children's innocence has truly been replaced by brutal reality. We miss Ross terribly. The world is a better place for his having been here. It is impossible to quantify how many lives he has touched throughout his life. We are without question better people for having known him. I am a much better person for having grown up with him and having had the privilege of being his sister. As a child, he taught me so much. How to bait a hook, how to play basketball, how to ditch off the sled before you crash. The list goes on. As an adult, I've learned so much from him as well. It's hard to say which pain is greater, what we have personally lost, or knowing what his children and our children have lost and not being able to protect them from the hurt and ache of that. I would like to close with a quote from my 9-year-old daughter. When our whole Dunnachie family had a meeting to discuss how we felt about the death penalty, we agreed that we wanted Veronica to have every last day possible to come to know the love of Christ and to have every opportunity to be saved. My daughter burst into tears and cried, "What if she doesn't accept the plea? What if she gets the death penalty and doesn't find Jesus in time?" Though each of us is hurt beyond words, and we are all at different stages of healing, we know that God is bigger than all of this, and there is a far greater reality at stake, an eternal one. We are grateful the death penalty has been removed. And in my daughter's words, God, thank you for what you have given us. Thank you for what you've given unto us. God, please set Veronica free from the captivity of the demon's cry and bring her to worship at your feet. Your Honor, we thank you for the opportunity to make this final statement.
Sheriff, she's your prisoner.